It's time to check out these Max Orange Air Jordan 1 Retro Highs from 2009. I'm really excited about this pickup. I actually just bought this pair of shoes at RIF LA. If you've never heard of RIF LA, it's a consignment shop that's based in downtown Los Angeles. Actually, they just opened up a second location in San Francisco, and there's another location in LA a couple doors down that sells clothing. But they basically sell a whole bunch of cool sneakers, cool clothing, and the prices are very affordable. And also when you consign shoes there, it's 85% to the seller, 15% to RIF, which is very competitive. A lot of the consignment stores do an 80-20 split, so RIF sort of beats them a little bit by 5%. And they pass the savings along to the customers. So when I scored this pair of 2009 Air Jordan 1s for $150, I really felt like I scored. I mean, this shoe retailed in the beginning of 2009 for $115. So really, after the seller sold these shoes at RIF and RIF took their 15%, the seller didn't even make that much money on this pair of shoes, and it's brand new, completely dead stock, not ever tried on, just the way I love to get my pairs of shoes. Anyway, you gotta love them. Let me turn it to the side. This pair of Air Jordans is actually made out of nylon, which is very rare. You know, usually Air Jordan 1s, the OGs, were in leather. There were AJKOs that were in canvas, but this pair is in nylon, which is kind of like Nike Vandals, shoes that came out back in 1984 with a big Velcro strap. A lot of the original ones of those were in nylon. Kind of a nice little feature on this Jordan 1, and the Max Orange is a great touch. Now, early on in 2008, when pictures of this shoe were surfacing, people were calling them infrared ones. And actually, the orange part of the upper was patent leather on the samples. But as it happened, the shoes that released were all nylon, and the shade of orange is Max Orange. Now, really, there's not a big difference between infrared and Max Orange. One of the most iconic shoes to feature infrared, of course, is the Air Max 90. And believe it or not, before they started calling the shade of orange infrared on the Air Max 90, Nike was calling them Max Orange. And before that, it was called High Vent Orange. Just an interesting little detail. So it's not really that big of a deal that people were calling these the infrared ones when really they're the Max Orange ones. Let me take you back to 2008 when pictures of this beautiful shoe were surfacing. So in 2008, Nike and Jordan Brand really restricted the releases of retro Jordans. There were only 22 retros that came out during the whole year, and they were part of the Collezione packs. So for the 23rd anniversary of the Air Jordan line, Nike released the Air Jordan 23, but then released 11 different packs, and the shoes in the packs added up to the number 23, and it was basically the number 1 to the number 22. And most of the shoes in those packs were in OG colors or in like slight deviations from the original colors. So people in 2008 were thirsty for different colors on Air Jordans because we were really only getting the Collezione packs, and they were $310 for 2 shoes. So a shoe like this was very, very welcome, coming in at just $115. You didn't have to buy 2 pairs. You didn't have to get the pair of Air Jordan 22s that came with the Air Jordan 1s in the Collezione pack. And these were just an amazing colorway. So they came out, and at the time there weren't quote-unquote OG Air Jordans being retroed with Nike Air on the tongue. So the fact that there's Jumpman logos on the tongue of this shoe, it really wasn't a big deal at the time. Nowadays, we're sort of entering this new revolution of going back and having shoes come out looking as close to what they came out like in the original days, and that's amazing. But back in 2009, it really wasn't a big deal to have Jumpman logos there. You'll notice on the back here, we've got Jumpman logos on the heel. Again, not a real big deal back then. A purist would say, hey, this isn't an OG Air Jordan because of those little details. But I just love this shoe. And I think it's just a gorgeous example of an Air Jordan 1 in a different colorway with a different material. Now, in the last few years, Nike's gone crazy with the Air Jordan 1. They've released more Air Jordan 1s in the last 3 years than they did in all of the years from 1985 all the way up to 2012. And I believe that a lot of the other Air Jordan models are going to catch up to the 1. We're going to see them in different colors and different materials. It's already happening where there's retro after retro after retro. All the same shoes in different colors, in different materials, and they're all selling out. I swear to you, in 10 years' time, we'll look back and there's going to be a rainbow of every single Air Jordan shoe. At least all the popular models, much like what we've seen with the Air Jordan 1. Anyway, it's been a real pleasure walking you through these nylon Max Orange Air Jordan 1s from 2009. I think it's a really underrated shoe. Also, if you've never shopped at RIF, their website is RIF, which is RIF.LA, or you can go visit them in Los Angeles or in San Francisco. I highly recommend it.